So we're going to take a moment to talk about why Queen of Karma has gone completely professional and refuses to even share her passion or her emotions really about this topic at all. Something that I have poured 6 years of my life at least into, probably more like 8 years of my life into, which is consumer protection. Yes, I got very passionate on my community post tab about Trump and the government shutdown and consumer protection, and how important it is, and apparently it means that I am insane. But before you decide that, let me explain. Start with my post and we'll take it from there. The USA governing agencies that protect consumers have been defunded as of last night at midnight. We are on the edge of something dangerous.
Karma's a bitch.
Queen of Karma.
This isn't politics as usual. Many experts, journalists, and watchdog groups are warning that Donald Trump's second-term agenda is openly authoritarian. We tried our best to warn everyone that this would not be a good plan. Plans are being laid out to consolidate power, weaken checks and balances, and silence dissent. For a political party that claimed Project 2025 had nothing to do with them, it sure is coming along nicely. This is not speculation, it's being reported in mainstream outlets and think tanks. Donald Trump posted, "I have a meeting today with Russ Voigt, head of Project 2025 fame, to determine which of the many Democratic agencies, most of which are a political scam, he recommends to be cut, and whether or not those cuts will be temporary or permanent. I can't believe the radical left Democrats gave me this unprecedented opportunity. They are not stupid people, so maybe this is their way of wanting to, quietly and quickly, make America great again. President DJT." There was that. If you don't pay attention, you risk losing the very freedoms that make democracy possible. I am in Canada, and watching this without all the US propaganda being shoved down my throat has been absolutely horrifying. This is how Hitler started his war. If you are in the USA and there was ever a time to be scared, it was now. I am not fear-mongering. I am truth-telling. We cannot beat around the bush anymore. This man, Donald Trump, has been and is dangerous, and he needs to be taken out of power. The USA should be in a state of absolute distress at the moment by what is going on. We are trying to come up with solutions for what we can do as Canadians to help our fellow consumer advocates from the USA. Here's what you can do right now. Stay informed by following credible investigative journalism. Support organizations that defend civil liberties. They are being defunded right now, so you will need to donate. Speak up in your communities. Silence only helps authoritarianism grow. I don't mean argue on X. Get the fuck off Twitter. That is the distraction. Write your MPs. Call your attorney general. Darn it, call every government agency you can right now and tell them that you want your government programs refunded now. Document and report fraud, corruption, and abuse of power wherever you see it. And keep it to yourself or share with a consumer advocate like myself, Danny DeHeck, Julie Anderson, Always Marco. There's thousands of us. Right now, the FTC and SEC are shut down. That means that no fraud can be reported in the USA. This makes workload extra for any consumer advocate from the USA or elsewhere. This means it is up to them solely to stop any scams, MLMs, or cults. There is no help from government and nowhere to report in the USA come midnight tonight. This means we need everyone to help. If you have been thinking of speaking out about scams, frauds, cults, MLMs, this is the time to start. File up your Instagram accounts, your X accounts, your YouTube channels. It's literally just up to us now. We need you. History shows us that authoritarian regimes don't arrive overnight. They creep in while people are distracted. We cannot afford to be distracted now. Again, get the fuck off Twitter. Arguing on there is the distraction. This is a moment for vigilance, solidarity, and action. The future of democracy depends on what you do today, USA. If history has taught us anything, it is that none of this is a good sign. Love, Canadian consumers. And I understand this is very emotional. This is very passionate. This is quite the call to action. But I don't know why you would expect anything less from me. Do you not remember who I am? So I can only do what's within my power and my control to do, even according to Stephen Hassan. And therefore, I have made a consumer protection guide, government shutdown edition. This is free. You can just message me and ask me for it on social media, or you can email me. My email is on my channel, and it's also down below in the description. So please do, and it gives you all the resources that you can use right now and what we can do right now with the government shutdown in order to protect consumers, not only from scams and MLMs, but from authoritarian control. Help consumers in the USA protect their democracy. Let me explain, because some people seem to think that I'm just on here, to shame people that are in MLM companies, and it's just a little stay-at-home mom having a little bit of fun with a little YouTube channel, and it's so cute. Allegedly, you don't realize what we are doing as consumer protection advocates, which I have been on this platform since 2019. Let me explain to you just how important consumer protection actually is, and how it's actually the shield between people in power. This is an article that I'm working on for deheck.com. It might be a little bit different upon publication, but so far this is what I got, and I think it explains everything very nicely. If you commented under my post about Trump recently, you might want to know this. When I posted recently about the US government shutdown, some people in my community responded as if consumer protection were a niche concern, something only relevant to scams and MLMs. That reaction revealed a common misconception. Consumer protection is not a side issue. It is not red tape. It is the invisible shield that has been built over more than a century to keep ordinary people safe from corporate abuse, unsafe products, predatory lending, and systemic fraud. And when that shield is weakened, whether through deregulation, defunding, or a government shutdown, the consequences ripple through every part of society. The story of consumer protection is really a story of disasters that force change. In 1906, Uptown St. Clair published The Jungle, a novel that shocked the nation with its descriptions of filthy meatpacking plants. Public outrage was so intense that Congress passed the Pure Food and Drug Act and the Meal Inspection Act. These laws laid the foundation for the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, ensuring that food and medicine could no longer be sold contaminated or mislabeled. Just a few years later, in 1914, the Federal Trade Commission, FTC, was created to stop unfair business practices and deceptive advertising. For the first time, there was a federal watchdog dedicated to protecting consumers from fraud and monopolies. The Great Depression brought another wave of reform. After the 1929 stock market crash devastated millions, the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, was established in the 1930s to regulate Wall Street, enforce transparency, and protect investors from manipulation. The mid-20th century saw the rise of the consumer rights movement. Ralph Nader's work on auto safety in the 1960s led to seatbelt laws and the creation of the Consumer Product Safety Commission in 1972. These weren't abstract victories. They saved lives on highways and in homes. They probably even saved your life at one point. After the 2008 financial crisis, when predatory lending and mortgage fraud wrecked millions of families, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB, was created. Since then, it has returned over $17 billion to consumers, as in the people of America, harmed by abusive financial practices. Each of these milestones was born out of pain. Each was response to real harm. Consumer protection has never been about theory. It has always been about survival. When people reduce consumer protection to just scams and MLMs, they miss the bigger picture. Yes, it covers fraud and deceptive business models, but it also covers the safety of the food you eat and the medicine you take. It governs the reliability of the car you drive and the toys your children play with. It ensures the fairness of your mortgage, your credit card, and your bank account, which I'm pretty sure affects every single everyday American. It protects the air you breathe and the water you drink. It shields your data and your identity online, and it enforces your right not to be discriminated against in housing, lending, or commerce. Consumer protection is woven into every part of modern life. It is the reason you can trust that a bottle of medicine contains what the label says, that your bank can't legally hide fees in fine print, and that your child's car seat has been crash tested. But yeah, we don't need these things at all. History also shows us what happens when protections are absent. The Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire in 1911 killed 146 workers because doors were locked and safety standards were non-existent. The thalidomide tragedy from the 1950s to 1960s was when a drug given to pregnant women caused thousands of birth defects, and it led to stricter FDA oversight. The 2008 financial crash caused by predatory lending and deregulation destroyed millions of lives and homes. More recently, Volkswagen's Dieselgate emissions fraud, the Equifax data breach that exposed 147 million people's personal information, and the Boeing 737 MAX crashes all remind us that without oversight, corporations can cut corners and people pay the price. Not the billionaires, the everyday working class citizen. You. This brings us to today. With the US government shutdown under President Trump, agencies like the FTC, SEC, CFPB, and FDA are either closed or operating with skeleton crews. That means fraud complaints pile up, recalls stall, Wall Street loses oversight, deterrence evaporates, state agencies are left stranded. Scammers know this. Corporations know this. When the watchdogs are asleep, the wolves move in. Shutdowns don't just inconvenience bureaucrats. They weaken the shield that protects every consumer, every worker, every family. So it makes no sense to be in a party that claims to be all about wanting to protect everyday working class citizens and families to then want to deregulate, defund, or shut down any of these agencies. And I don't know how much more I can stress this. It is pure hypocrisy and it makes no sense. Consumer protection is not uniquely American. It is a hallmark of modern democracy. The European Union enforces strict food safety and digital privacy laws. Canada's Competition Bureau regulates false advertising and price fixing. Please don't call Canadians Americans anymore. We want to be known solely as Canadians. Thank you. New Zealand's Commerce Commission enforces the Fair Trading Act and Consumer Guarantees Act. When protections are weak, corruption and harm rise. Where protections are strong, people live longer, safer, freer lives. Land of the free, huh? Consumer protection is not a luxury. It is not red tape. It is the backbone of a fair society. It is the reason you can trust the food on your plate, the medicine in your cabinet, the car you drive, and the bank where you deposit your paycheck. So when we fight for consumer protection, we're not just fighting scams and multi-level marketing companies and cryptocurrency schemes. We're fighting for the right to live in a society where safety, fairness, and accountability are non-negotiable. Every time consumer protection is weakened, whether deregulation, defunding, or a government shutdown, history shows us who pays the price. And it's never the billionaires. It's us, the people, the consumers, the families you're apparently trying to protect. That's why this fight matters. And that's why we can no longer afford to look away. So I hope that helps explain why I'm so passionate about this, along with the fact that I have a YouTube channel that has been speaking out against authoritarian control, coercive control tactics, manipulation tactics, scams, and I am a consumer protection advocate and have been since before I started my channel in 2019. I hope that this explains where my stance is on this. I am not sure why anyone would expect any different. Now stop arguing me in the damn comment sections. I do not vote in your election. I am Canadian, so I can only do what I can do from over here. And that is why, again, I have created this consumer protection guide, the government shutdown edition. No cost to you, you can get it, and it's all the resources you need. Hit me up and I'll send you over a copy. Thanks so much for listening to my amazing TED Talk on how consumer protection is actually the protection of your democracy. Share all of your comments down below. What do you think? And I'll see you all really soon with another one. I love all your faces, bye! We are on the edge of something dangerous.
Queen of Karma.